Hey everybody, Ben here from The Beard Guys, bringing you the ultimate map guide for Space City in Delta Force operations. Today, I'm going to run through everything you need to know about this map, including all team spawn locations, how extracts work, keycard rooms, all the areas with best loot, and much, much more. With Space City now available on all platforms, I wanted to share with you my knowledge I've gained on it, having played it extensively since the game's initial release. And I also now have special access from the devs to make private lobbies, which means I can show you everything you need to see without us having to worry about other players interrupting. I'll also put a full chapter listing down below so you can check out the parts of the video that most interest you. At the moment, Space City has 2 different difficulties, and you'll have access to one or both of these depending on your platform and the current map rotation. For normal difficulty, you have to be level 18 to enter the map and bring in a minimum gear value of 187,500. For hard difficulty, you have to be level 30 and bring in a minimum gear value of 450k. Currently, hard mode is only available on PC, but this will likely change in the future. Hard mode has more loot containers to search, as well as higher odds of getting good gear, plus a few other small differences that I'll mention throughout the video. First, let's take a brief tour of the map on normal difficulty, and I'll talk you through each key area, where the teams spawn, important loot locations, and what routes you can take from each position. So Space City is broken up into the outer area, which is mostly around the north, east, and western edges of the map. This is where most of the team spawn locations are, and then you have the core area in the middle of the map here, and this is where most of the loot is. There's also an area to the south as well where there's another player spawn, which works slightly differently, but we'll run through all of these in detail in just a moment. When teams spawn in order for them to make their way into this middle area where all the loot is, they all have to go via the central command bridge. This is where I'm standing now. This is the central command building, and you have the central command bridge. This is the only route into the core area without using special keycards to give you extra routes in. That is, unless you spawn at the launch area, you don't have to go via that bridge, but every other team spawn location all gets funneled through the bridge, so special keycard access is key. There are 8 different spawn locations for player teams on Space City, and you normally get 6 teams, maybe sometimes 5 spawn on the map in total. So that means you're likely usually to have 2 of the spawn locations that don't have a team on them, and all the rest of them will. So the first area we're going to look at is the dormitory area on the west of the map, and this is the first team spawn right here where I'm standing. This is the south dormitory spawn. There's another player spawn just up here we'll go and look at in a moment, and then the next closest one to these 2 is over here out the back of Central Command Building. So you get 2 teams very close together and then a little bit of a gap. From this spawn in this dormitory area, you can move up north into the dormitory, which are these tall buildings up here. You've got these 2 teams that are likely to move north and south and come together in this area. Potentially there are different routes they can take. When you get into the dorm area from the south, you can either go under here or you can go up onto the raised gantry here to get some elevation. From here you can see over to this area here, which is basically where the other teams spawn if they do spawn there. This dormitory area here has 3 different rooms you can loot. There's a few other small containers around like this, but there's basically these 3 main buildings. We'll go over to the other side so you can see the front doors into these, but you can go in that way as well. So this is where the other team spawns. They spawn literally just here, and then they can run in and they can choose either to come down and counter, see if a team's coming up from the south of the dorm, or they can run off this way and go another route in. There's a flight case you can loot here, which can have good loot in them. And then these are the 3 buildings that you can loot as well. There's room 1, which has another entrance out the back. You have a downstairs area here with some loot in it. Then you go upstairs. There's 2 side rooms. And then there's also this door out here, which is the one we ran past a minute ago that goes onto the balcony area. You can also have this bulletproof glass you can use to look down and see other players. You can't shoot through that. And then you can see these 2 rooms here just have a few bits in them. This one also has a balcony that you can go out, and you can use that to get a different angle. For the other 2 rooms at the dormitory area, room 2, which is this one, these are both the same layout, but they don't have another exit at the top, so they're dead ends. They have 2 rooms at the top, and then a small area down here with some loot in. Same for building 3, that's the one just over here. It's got 3 written on it, and that's exactly the same, except upstairs there is a keycard room as well. That one is normal, and then there's a keycard room, the number 3 dormitory back room keycard is located there. Now, another option, if you have one of these spawns, particularly the south dormitory spawn, if you don't want to go up and fight in dorm, you can go up and use this keycard door here if you have the right keycard. It's called the West Gate keycard. That's going to allow you to open this door here. You can run straight up here, and as soon as this starts opening, you can pretty much dive underneath and get inside. And you can see we are now in the core area here. We didn't have to go around to the central command bridge. We've managed to just sneak in the side. So great little route to use that. Definitely a keycard worth having. I'd recommend having all of these keycards for access that I'm going to show you. I have them on me at all times. So that is one of them. You can also run up this way, but it's going to leave you pretty exposed. You could get shot from above from the team North Dorm, and you could also get countered by the team from Central Command. So quite a risky route coming up here, but you can go up this way as well. If we move up this way, just outside of the dorm area, we'll start to move into the northern section of the map where we'll find another keycard entrance. This is Employee Passage. There's two of these, and it uses the same keycard. Employee Passage, you can see we can open this gate here, and this is going to get us, again, straight into the core area. This is a good one to use if you're coming from perhaps North Dorm here. You can run straight across through this little garden area here and through this gate and come through, and you can normally get there pretty quick before another team notices. Or if you're coming from Central Command Team Spawn, you can run down and go through that as well. In this northern area of the map, there's only one team spawn. That's just up out the back of Command Building here. I'll show you that in just a second. It's basically right there, just downstairs out the back door, and from there you can either run over, you could counter the teams at Dormitory, you could run and try and do Employee Passage, or you can just loot the Command Building and then move across into the core or go the other way. Very central spawn. In this central area, as well as having the bridge, there's also a lower area to it. So you have the bridge going over the top, which has bulletproof glass along the sides, but it's very obvious that you're there. There's also this lower area that has a zip line you can use to get back and forth across the river as well, which has a little more cover, but is still quite an exposed area as well. There's quite long lines of sight from the sides. But that's another way across the river using that zip line there. Then if you go into the Central Command Building itself, there's not a huge amount of loot in here, but there is a guaranteed large safe both on normal and hard difficulty. The team spawn, by the way, is outside this back door just at the back of Central Command, literally right here. You spawn, you can either run this way or come back inside the Central Command Building. And then once you're in here, there's a few different bits you can loot. There's a few containers knocking around, med crate there. There's some more stuff upstairs. If we go up here, you can find a large safe as well. A few bits to loot through these side doors here, and then we go over to this middle room. This is where everyone tends to rush because there is this large safe you can find to open here. If you're then leaving Central Command, you can either choose to go back out the front door where we came in. There's also this smashed glass window on the eastern edge where you can go down this sand ramp and head into the eastern side of the map. And then there's also a zip line that goes from the balcony here straight down to the bridge. So here's the zip line that goes down to the Central Command Bridge, so you can cross over there. Careful if you're going across that. If the boss is there, we'll chat about the boss a little bit later, but she's pretty brutal. So this is moving ourselves now over to the eastern side of the map. There's that sand bridge we looked at a minute ago. That comes down into this area here, and we move right over to the edge. There's another player spawn just in here. You spawn just in this little area here next to Employee Passage 2, and this is another keycard entrance you can use. It's exactly the same keycard as the other Employee Passage one that we opened over here just a minute ago. Uses the same keycard, Employee Passage, open that up, and that's going to let us get into the core area again without having to use the Central Command Bridge. You climb up here and you run across this pipe and you're into the central area. There's also a flight case you can loot on the way in, so it's a nice spawn to have if you want to get straight into the middle and get lots of loot. Careful when you're running across here. People can snipe you from all sorts of directions. Often early teams can quickly get an angle on you from back here and will try and snipe you, so do be careful. People will try and do that. So that's our first 4 team spawns. The other ones are located over to the east here, and then there's one down the south at launch. We'll move right over to the edge here, and on this eastern edge you've got the printing room and assembly rooms. This is the printing room and this is the assembly room, and then there's this kind of warehousey type building here as well, and then this big open area to the side. There's 3 potential player spawns all pretty close together here. One of those is located just at the top here, so that's just up on this green mark you can see here. That is one of the player spawns. There's another one down in the assembly room around here, which we'll go look at in a moment, and then another one down here in the water tank station. So you get 3 on this side that are all relatively close together. There's not a huge amount of loot on this side of the map. There's a few bits and bobs, but it's quite sparse in terms of loot, certainly compared to the middle. You do get some large weapon crates here, and there is a potential rocket fuel spawn here, but we'll talk more about rocket fuel later in the video. If you spawn here, there's a couple of different routes you can take. You can either go through these big downstairs doors, or you can come up here and you can cross over using these doorways up here. This is now into the assembly room, and if we go downstairs in the assembly room, the other player spawn is located around here. You start downstairs just at the back behind these robotic arms. There's a few bits you can loot at the top there. There's also a keycard room, which is the Assembly Workshop 2F lab. It's okay, it's not great. There's a secret locked door. If you want to know how to open any of these secret combination locked doors, I've got a separate video called Space City All Secrets. Go and check that out. It tells you how to do all of those. And then there's a little bit of loot you can do in these side rooms here, like a computer to hack and a few other containers. So as we move down out of the south exit of the assembly room and the hoisting room here, we go into the water tank station area. There's a bridge here you can see raised. And there's also another team spawn down this way, which we'll just go and look at now. So team spawn number 7 is located just here. You start just standing inside this truck, and you can either run from here and go up into assembly and printing to fight those teams or loot there, or you can use another keycard, which actually lowers this bridge. Run over here, go up the steps or the zip line, head over to this little booth here, and if you use the Eastern Suspension Bridge key, then that is going to lower this bridge, and that will allow you into the core area. You have to wait till it's lowered fully before it will let you run across. And keep in mind, if you don't have this keycard and you spawn here, the only way you can get into the core area is by going up through assembly room and printing room, and then over all the way to Central Command Bridge, potentially going past 1, 2, 3, nearly 4 different potential player spawns. So without this keycard, that is really tough going. Now, there's also a final spawn point, which is located at the launch area down at the south here. You'll start right down at the southern tip of the map. And then in order to make your way into the middle, you have to head down, and you can either go down this ramp here on the right or across the bridge in the middle. You can see on the map here, it's showing it as broken. This is a map event. Sometimes it's broken, sometimes it's not. If it shows an intro video at the start of the round where the bridge gets bombed, and then you see the map looking how it does there, then you know that the broken bridge is active. If it's not, then that'll just look like a normal bridge. It won't be broken at all. The reason why that's important is if the broken bridge is up, then there'll be more bots that spawn here, particularly machine gunners, which can be pretty brutal. But you also get this supply crate that will be here, and you can loot this, and you can often get some pretty good loot from this. There you go. See, 2 purples and a gold on normal, not too bad. On top of that, there's also a crate you can collect here that gives you a gun skin. If you want to avoid fighting all of these bots, then you can just run around this other way here, and that's a little bit more calm. You don't have to deal with the insane amount of AI bots that are down there. If you just want to run in and get to the core area nice and quickly, you can go down to this side here and dodge some of that. So once you've accessed the core area, there's 4 main buildings to know about. There's the buoyancy lab, the test range, the black chamber, and the centrifuge facility. And then there's also a small room in between those called the CEO office, which is located upstairs. When you're in this middle area, you can see it gets blurred on the map. That's going to pixelate my mini-map once I move in close here. First up, we'll have a look at the buoyancy lab. There's a few different ways to get in here. This is the front door. You can come in this way. There's also a small service entrance just to the side here on the north side. And then you can also come in from the side. If you've come in through the Westgate keycard, you can come in there, up this ramp. You can see where I am on the map here, just inside Westgate. You come up this ramp, and this can lead you either into buoyancy lab that we're going to look at first, or also into the centrifuge building, which is located in there. So once we're inside, you can see my mini map is now blurred, and I can't use my map to locate things. I can't click on things because I'm in a jamming area. But what you can actually do if you're a bit lost is place little pings on the floor. It's by clicking your middle mouse on PC. You can see I've placed a green marker here. If I now press my map button, I can actually see where that green marker is on the map. So quite a handy way. Hello, mate. Quite a handy way of identifying where you are if you're a little bit lost. So we're now inside the buoyancy lab, this northwest building. In here, there's a big pit in the middle that you can go down. If you want to get down there quickly without breaking a leg, you can jump onto this thing and then drop down. If you drop straight down onto this, you're going to break a leg. There's a flight case down here you can loot. And then if you go down this hole, there's a large safe you can loot right at the bottom of this. It's pretty sketchy because if you get caught down here, there's not really a lot you can do other than just zip line back up and get killed. But there is a large safe down there, med crate there. And then to get out of this hole, which is pretty brutal, you have to climb up a pair of ladders here. And there's also a small safe you can loot, which is just located in there. This is the second ladder you need to come up to get out of there. There's a few other small loot items around here, but that's the main bit: flight case and the large safe and the small safe down there. There's a couple of rooms located up here, as well as a keycard room. I'll just show you that quickly. If you go up this ramp at the back, there's 2 small rooms with some loot in here. These have bulletproof glass on the windows, and then there's also a keycard room here. This is the buoyancy lab infirmary keycard, and in here there's a couple of med things you can loot, and there's also normal glass, so if you are in here, you can actually smash this and get out. You're not stuck in there like you would be in these rooms here with the bulletproof glass. There's another exit here you can use as well. If you go up out of the southeast corner, you can go out this way. That takes you to the sort of upstairs of centrifuge just here, but we're going to go back in for the time being, continue in buoyancy. There's a ladder you can take up to this raised area here, and there's also another way up there where you can go up these stairs here. So if we head up this way and go in this door, there's some loot here, and then we can go up these stairs. If we go down, then we end up back in the front lobby. If we head all the way up, we get to where that ladder leads. There's a small room here you can loot, and then we can run around these corridors. They have bulletproof glass, so you can look out and see what's going on. We can spy on the boss. That's the boss lady down there, just hanging out. Don't shove your face too far through the bulletproof glass, or you might be able to get shot through it. And as we get around here, we'll find ourselves in the CEO office area. There's always a flamethrower, a minigunner, and a shield guy, and some other bots around here, so watch out for them. There's a large, safe, guaranteed spawn that's always here, as well as a few other bits to loot. And if you go into this middle room here, we're in the CEO's office. So you can see on the map now, we are in this central area here where it says CEO office. And this area is only accessible via the buoyancy lab or the black chamber. Up here, you're going to find a laptop. This desk can spawn keycards. There's a few other containers to loot. There's a keycard room over here, the CEO office keycard. This has 2 large safes in it, as well as a few other bits. And then if you go in this door over here, there's actually a load of safes you can just open. You can find loot on the sides here, but these ones you can just walk up to and you can just open. Not all of them, but a bunch of them you can just walk up to and open them up like this, and you can find stuff in them, often kind of junk, but you can find okay things like the wide angle lens there, and you can just keep doing this all the way around both sides and open them up. There's also a safe opening mission you sometimes get up here. We don't have it active this time, but you might have a laptop here that will let you open a safe breaker mission, and that will be to open this big green safe here. If we head down, you can see it says space chamber, which is actually called the black chamber, so I don't know why it says space chamber, but sure. If we go over this way, it's kind of a mirror of what we saw at buoyancy. We're looking down into the middle area now through bulletproof glass, and we've then got, again, a ladder and a staircase that goes down there, just like in buoyancy, except this time we're now in black chamber. We'll go down the ladder. There's a little trick you can do on PC. I don't know how you can do it on mobile, but you can probably figure out a way where if you just W key forward from there and then tap forward, tap W on your keyboard just at the bottom, then you'll grab onto the ladder and you can get down it a lot quicker. If you muck it up, you'll break your legs. So we're now in the black chamber in this building here, the bottom right of the 4 core buildings. There's a few different ways into this. This is the south entrance. There's this service entrance here from the south. There's also the main entrance here with the front desk. And then if we run through, there's another way in where you can come through from the test range, which is just located here. At the moment, we're kind of in this gap here between the 2 buildings downstairs. There's also an upstairs area that I'll show you in just a minute. Inside black chamber, there's 2 flight cases. There's an extra one on hard difficulty. There's another one you can find just here, and there's a small safe here. You get another flight case here on hard difficulty and a bunch of loot around. There's also a room up here that has some loot, as well as a little side room here. This room up here has another keycard room. This is the black chamber server room. You can loot in there if you have that keycard. And then if we head out from black chamber, we'll go into the test range, which is the top right, the northeast of these buildings. So we go into test range here, and in here we're going to find a flight case, and there's also another large safe, as well as a lever that is used for extraction. We'll talk about those a little bit later. On top of that, there's a bunch of keycard rooms. One of those is the test range glass room that's located downstairs just here. Then if we run through, there's another small room you can loot just on the side here. And then this is a kind of another front desk area. And then you can exit and enter through the north side of the building here. See, we're back at the central command bridge. That's where you come in here, or you can come in from, that's the employee passage entrance where we used the key card earlier, and then we ran across the yellow pipes. That's those yellow pipes there. So you can also come in this way when you've come in through that spawn. If you've come in here and done the safe and the flight case, you can also go upstairs when you're in here. You can't go out that door down there, but you can go upstairs. You've got bulletproof glass on the sides here. And up here, there's a bunch more rooms you can loot, as well as 2 more keycard rooms. There's a test range data center in here. There's another normal room there. And then if we go through here and up the top, you're going to find another keycard room. This is the test range core keycard room. It does have a door at the other side as well. You only need to open one of them to gain access. From here, you can either go back down the way you came, or you can go out this way, and that's going to take you into this sort of raised area that's between the test range and the black chamber. You can drop down into black chamber here. Remember, we saw this red area when we were downstairs a little while ago. We're kind of in this area here, but now up top. And if we drop down here, we'd be back into the black chamber. It's a good angle to take to watch for players. Or instead of going that way, we can come over here and we can go down this ramp here. This is another way to gain access. This is going to bring us right down by those yellow pipes that we came in earlier. You can see the central command bridge there. And we're back over by these yellow pipes here where we came in earlier, and there's a flight case here as well. So lastly, we're going to make our way into the centrifuge facility. That's the southwest of the 4 buildings in the middle. This is the south entrance to it from the Plaza side. You can come in here. You do get some pretty nasty bots in here dotted around. There's normally a machine gunner and a flamethrower. You get a flight case in the central area here, as well as some large weapon crates up here. There's a lever here for another extraction point that we'll talk about later. And then there is quite a large upstairs area as well, which has a large safe. This is another entrance you can take in. So this is back over by the west gate we talked about earlier. The west gate keycard where you come in through dormitory is located there. That's the employee passage keycard, the west one, and that's Buoyancy Lab just there. If you come in this way, you can go, like we saw earlier, either into Buoyancy or you can go straight into Centrifuge. Once you've looted the downstairs of Centrifuge, there's also a small room to the side here where you can loot there. You might find keycards on these desks, so do check those. You can then either head out this door here, that's going to take you just into the central area here, where you'll get murdered by the boss if she's there, or you can run upstairs and go into this area here. So this is the upstairs of Centrifuge. There's a bunch of different areas you can loot up here full of all sorts of bits and bobs, but the main thing is the large safe, which is located just here. Then if you want to dip out from Centrifuge, instead of going back downstairs, you can go out either of these 2 doors. One leads you out this way, and there's a ramp. This is the Buoyancy Lab. You can go down this ramp here, and that's going to head towards the Plaza and Horizontal Test Workshop and Launch area. There's also another door that comes out just the other side along here. Pretty similar area. This will allow you to get into Buoyancy Lab a bit more quickly. If you come out this way, you can just hop straight across, and you can go down through this side door here we showed you earlier, and then you're into Buoyancy Lab. So the last area that we haven't really covered is this Plaza area here and the Horizontal Workshop, but there's not much to go over. We'll talk about these more in detail when I'm covering extraction points, because this is one of the main extraction areas just here. In this plaza, this is to the south of the core area just here. And then if you go under the bridge here, you're going to find yourself heading into the Horizontal Workshop area. These routes head up to the launch area. And then this is the Horizontal Test Workshop, where there is another extraction point. There's just one small building here and a few birds' nests and manholes you can loot. But if you go up here, you can open these doors and you can look inside here and check for loot. You can find some pretty good stuff in here, so it is worth checking. Normally you'll check it when you're going to use the extraction just over there. You can smash this glass to go through as well, by the way. So that's everything for the map tour. Now let's talk about how to extract on Space City. Since we are down here anyway, there are 3 different places on Space City you can use to extract. The first and the easiest and safest of those is where we are now. This is the bagless extract, backpackless extract down at the Horizontal Test Workshop. On normal difficulty, this has 3 seats, so that's 3 players can use it and then it disappears. And on hard difficulty, there is only 1 seat available, so that's not 1 team, that's 1 single player. So that's pretty rough. And this is available approximately 10 minutes into the start of the match, about 9.5 minutes, 9.5 to 10 minutes. In order to use this, you just need to get down here. You can either go around the sides or you can go through the middle and smash the glass. And you'll see this green smoke here. If this icon here has gone gray and says 0 seats remaining, then they've all been used up and you can't use it. It will also be gray if it's too early in the match to use it, but you'll be able to tell because you won't have hit 20.5 minutes on the clock yet. When we get down to this extraction, you'll see it says unequip your backpack to extract. All you need to do is drop your backpack and then it will count down from 10 seconds, and when that finishes counting down, you will extract. So that's a pretty good one to use in a pinch, particularly if you're solo. It might sound like a rubbish option, ditching your bag, but if you actually have a big rig, I've got a 17 slot here. If you have the 20 slot rig, you can actually get a lot of loot in a 20 slot rig and your safe box and then extract with that. And it's a lot safer than using any of the other extraction options. So the second extraction point is the helicopter extract. The place where you extract from is actually located here, just on this green mark in the plaza. But in order to activate it, there's 2 levers we have to pull in order to make that happen. One of those is in the test range and one of those is in the centrifuge. Both of these need to be pulled. When they're pulled, they will be marked gray on the map, so we'll know if they're pulled. You can see they both say unpulled at the moment. We need to go and pull both of those levers. So we'll run up and do both of those now. And once we've pulled both of these levers, then a 5-minute countdown will start. And once that expires, we need to be on that little place that we just showed you in the plaza. There'll be green smoke marking it. We need to be on that when the timer runs out to extract. The helicopter extract doesn't have any limits on uses. It can be used multiple times. Here's the first lever, by the way, so we're going to pull that. That's now active. We can see on the map that's gone grey. It says pulled, so we just need to get over to Centrifuge and pull that. That one was in the test range. Because the boss is in the middle, we're going to go a little bit of a weird way and just go around to be safe. If the boss wasn't there, we could just go straight upstairs in test range and cut out and go across the middle underneath the CEO office up here and into Centrifuge, but we're just going to take a bit of a wide berth so we don't get murdered by the boss and her tanks. We'll show you the boss a little bit later on. There's no timer between pulling the levers. You don't have to pull one within 1 minute the other. You can pull one right at the start of the game and then the other right at the end. It could be pulled by 2 different teams, but once one is pulled, it can't be unpulled. You have to go and trigger the other lever. So we're going into Centrifuge now. We've headed in from the south. We go up onto the raised gantry here, and then we find ourselves over on this area looking down. Here's that lever we saw a little bit earlier. We're going to pull this, and that's going to start a 5-minute countdown. You see we got 7 minutes 20 left on the clock there. There's our 5-minute countdown. You can see 4:52 on the clock now, and we've got enough time to extract. If there's less than 5 minutes on the game clock, when you pull the second lever, then you won't be able to use it to extract. You're going to have to use bagless, or you're just going to die. Once this timer runs out, if there's time left in the game, they could both be pulled again. So if someone pulled these early on and then this timer ran out and then there was still more than 5 minutes left, someone could pull both these levers again. You see it says 99 pulling attempts left. Someone could pull them both again and use this extract again. So you can see here it's got green smoke marking the extraction point over here now. And this is a sort of AoE extraction area. Anyone in this extraction area, when this clock runs out, is going to extract. And that can include people from multiple different teams. What you might sometimes find is that if someone is left and they have no option to get out and there's a team trying to use this to extract, people will sometimes hide around here somewhere and then try and smoke this out and run in and share this extract with an enemy team under the cover of smoke, which can be pretty effective, particularly if you're playing as Stinger. Stinger obviously has his massive smoke, so he can use that. So you might get people hiding in these tunnels, running out at the last minute, and then diving into that extract. So the third and final extraction point for Space City is the rocket launch extraction. In order to do this, you need to wait until about 15 minutes of game time has passed, when there's about 15:30 left on the clock, and you need to go up onto the bridge, this area here, and go and trigger Operation Ascended. So you can see the mission is this one here, just by where you can lower the suspension bridge. So if we trigger this mission, that's actually going to initiate 2 things. It's going to start a extraction process and also a mission as well. You don't actually have to complete the mission in order to extract, but completing the mission will give you some money, and it will also speed up the extraction process. Once you trigger the mission, these planes are going to fly overhead, and then you need to make your way across to the launch area, which is down here. It's marked on your map. You see we get this countdown now. It says upload the program, but there's also this count just saying 11:30. So that's actually when the extraction is going to trigger in 11.5 minutes now, 12 from when I hit that. But if we go and do this mission, we can bring that timer down. So we can run across here, or you could go on the other route. Make your way up towards the mission marker here. Once we get up to this mission marker, you're going to find a laptop that you need to hack. If we go and do this and then take the item from it, as soon as we do that, that's going to initiate a 270-second countdown. That has sped up the extraction timer essentially. And what that thing is counting down to is this thing here is going to lower onto the pad. And when the countdown runs out, we can open a container on it, and that's going to then give us a minute until the extract starts. Once we've triggered that laptop, though, lots of bots are going to drop in and come and attack us. You're going to see helicopters coming down, dropping tons of AI off. Some of them are going to run over and come up and attack us, and snipers are also going to pop up all along here and try and shoot us as well. You can just kind of hide behind this quite a lot. Some people will come up that you'll have to kill, but you can hide from the snipers and just chill behind here. Or if you want, you can shoot them as well. You'll see them drop down from this chopper in just a moment. So that 270 seconds, that's 4.5 minutes, plus the minute once this timer has run out, that's 5.5 minutes. Basically, you need 5.5 minutes on the game clock from when you trigger that laptop. Otherwise, you won't have enough time. So the total time to extract from when you start the mission is basically that 5.5 minutes plus however long it takes you to get from that mission to decode that laptop, which realistically is probably a good 45 seconds to a minute. So you really need bare minimum 6.5 minutes to extract from when you trigger the mission. I'd say safely give yourself 7 to 8 minutes to be sure. But if you really hurry, you can probably get it done in 6.5. Now, like I mentioned a minute ago, you don't actually have to trigger the laptop and speed this up. It will just extract anyway. When it does give you the extraction option, it's this area here where we are now. And what that means is if another team triggers the launch extract, you can actually come up and steal this from them. You won't be able to interact with the laptop if they've triggered the mission, but if this timer runs out, if you come up here and kill the team, when this timer here, you can see this 7.5 minute timer here, when that runs out, you still will be able to extract from this point here. So you can see now that timer has run out, it's given us 6 minutes to extract here. That's from the mission just basically timing out. If we let that run out, we will lose the mission, but we'll still be able to extract from this point. You can see we've still got game time in order to do that. If we want to speed this up, though, we've got to open this little blue mark thing here. That's now a box you can open. Watch out for the snipers because they're still knocking about, and there's bloody loads of them. All you have to do is just open this and close it again. That's going to trigger that. The rocket is about to launch ahead of time. We've now completed that task. That gives us a 1 minute countdown. You'll see pop up here, 50 seconds to extract. We stay in this area. We can actually loot this as well. This is a container that has loot in it. You don't have to actually loot it in order to trigger that 1 minute countdown. You just have to open it and close it, but you can grab stuff from here. You can find rocket fuel in here. It's very rare, but you can get it from there. All you need to do now is stay in the middle of this. If you go to the edge, you'll actually miss the extract, so just watch out for that. And you just got to wait 30 seconds, and then you will extract from the rocket launch. So next up, let's have a look at rocket fuel and Satcom. So why are these things important? Well, rocket fuel and Satcom are two items you can't buy in the auction. You can only acquire them by finding them in-game and extracting with them. And the Satcom is used for upgrading your CSD in your black site, which gives you massive stamina buffs. And then rocket fuel is used for upgrading your stash. Both these items are very rare. The Satcom is a 2x2 item, so it can be extracted in a chest rig or a safe box. But the rocket fuel is a 3x4 item, so it will only fit in a bag. You can't get it in any safe box. You can't get it in any rig, which means you can't use bagless extract. You'll have to use the helicopter or rocket launch extract to get out with rocket fuel. It can be very rare to find. You can find it more often on hard mode, and it can take players a long time before they manage to get these. There are set places, however, where Satcoms and rocket fuel spawn on Space City. They only spawn on Space City, by the way, so I'm going to give you a quick tour of exactly where they can spawn. First up, let's talk about Satcom. So the first spawns for this are located in the dormitory area, in any of the 3 main dormitory buildings. These 3 here, you can find it in any of those. So if we go and have a look inside, they can spawn pretty much anywhere in these. They can spawn on these ledges just inside here. They can spawn on the shelves here. So you need to have a quick skim of all 3 of these buildings if you want to check for Satcoms and you're over here. They can spawn upstairs as well. I've not seen them, but I've heard that's definitely a thing. I've also heard reports of them spawning inside of the keycard room in the dorm area. The next Satcom spawns you can find are located in the buoyancy lab area. That's this one here in the core area, the top left of the 4 buildings. You can find it up these stairs at the base of the staircase going up to CEO. It can spawn on this desk here, and it can also spawn over the other side in these raised rooms here. I've not seen it here, but I've heard reports of it spawning in these rooms up here. So you want to head up and check these 2 little side rooms to make sure there's not a Satcom sitting for you up here. The next Satcom spawn that's pretty close by is in the centrifuge facility. That's the bottom left of these buildings, just up on this raised gantry where you find the lever for the helicopter extraction. This is where I found a couple of Satcoms before. You can find it on this table here. I found it before on this ledge here. Anywhere along here, just have a skim along. You can find it on these desks here. Worth checking all the way along here, just in case there is a Satcom spawned. There's then one final Satcom spawn that we'll head over and take a look at, and that's right over by the bagless extract point. So over here at the horizontal test workshop, just next to the bagless extract point, this is the final spawn for Satcoms. If you come in here, you can find it spawning on these desks here. So always check these when you're coming through. Also on this chair here, you can get loot spawn there. So that's all of the Satcom spawns. Let's go take a look at all of the rocket fuel spawns. So this time we're starting over on the eastern side of the map in the assembly room. This is one of the places you can find rocket fuel. You can find it spawning inside of this pipe here. I've heard reports of it spawning down on the floor in this area over here. And then if we head upstairs as well, there's another spawn point for it just at the top of these stairs. You can find it on these boxes just around here. Worth checking for rocket fuel, and I think you can also probably find it on these boxes here, though I'm not 100% sure, but worth checking all around this building. You can find it in a few locations in the assembly room. Another location very close by where you can find fuel is in the printing room, and this is somewhere I've actually found it myself a couple of times, and this is where I managed to extract fuel from myself. And it actually spawns in this middle area on this little bit just here. You'll be able to see if it was there, so it hasn't spawned there this time round. If we make our way down here, you can go up onto this central raised platform, and then you'll find it on here if it's going to spawn in the printing room. The next potential rocket fuel spawn is located just at the back of the central command building, actually right next to where one of the team spawns is. You spawn here, and if you run straight inside this door, you can actually find the rocket fuel on either side here, just sitting on the floor. I've also heard reports that you can find it on the other side of this building. Again, I've not seen this myself, but I've heard multiple people say that they have found it located over here as well. There's this little nook here, and there's also this area here where you might be able to find it. You can also find rocket fuel in 3 of the 4 middle buildings in the core area. First up, we're going into the test range. That's the top right, where you have the pit with the lever in it. You have the pit here. Here's the lever with the large safe at the back, and you can find rocket fuel pretty much anywhere down here. I've picked it up here before. It can be tucked behind the boxes, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. You can also find it sitting around in this area here. Then if you move from the test range down to the south into the black chamber, you can just cut through this way. And as we go into black chamber, you can find the rocket fuel spawning in this corner here. You've got the flight case and then all these desks and stuff. It can spawn anywhere around here, and then it can also spawn up on this raised area in the middle here. So after this, there's just 2 possible other locations you could find it. It's not a guaranteed spawn. This has all been on the same run, by the way, and we've not seen Satcoms or rocket fuel yet, so there's a good chance there might not be rocket fuel or Satcom on the map at all. We're just going to make our way into the centrifuge facility, so that's the bottom left building where there's the other lever for extraction. And then if we make our way upstairs, we're going to go past where the big safe is here, and then we're going to go into the back room right up here where there's the glass and there's the weapon case, and you can actually get rocket fuel spawning on the floor just here. Now, there is one final possible way of getting rocket fuel, and that is actually if you do the rocket extract we talked about a little bit earlier. If you do the rocket extract, finish the mission, and then open the container on the rocket itself, there is a chance you can get the rocket fuel from that container. I've not had it happen myself, but it is another way it seems you can get rocket fuel. Once you find it, of course, extracting with it is a whole nother matter. You're going to have to use the helicopter extract or the rocket extract to get it out. But hopefully that guide will help you locate your first rocket fuel. So the boss on Space City is this sniper lady. She has 2 tanks that also spawn with her as well. And you'll either find her in the middle of the map in the core area underneath the CEO office. If she's there, you'll hear some music playing and you'll hear her tanks driving around and her shouting very, very loudly. If she's not there, she can also spawn down at the launch area and she'll shoot you from this raised platform right at the top here. She's pretty brutal. She can shoot you from absolutely miles away. She's got a 400-meter range on her sniper, and her tanks can also fire rockets over the top of cover that attack you, and they can send these little drones out that will roll up to you and explode, and they make a beeping noise to let you know they're going to do that. She's pretty tough, but if you do manage to kill her, she can drop some good loot. If you kill her on hard mode, she'll have a red helmet. If you're on normal, she'll have a gold helmet, and she can also have some nice other gear on her. You can either take her out by sniping her in the head, or if you're in a team, you can get someone to distract her a little bit while someone else just unloads an AR or LMG into her. You can also hit her with Ularu's guided rocket, which you can fire over cover, but her tanks will try and shoot that down if they see it. She's pretty tough to take on solo, but as a team it's not too bad because someone else can just be distraction and take a hit while the other people hit her with a couple of shots in the head, and that should just about do it. Alternatively, you could find somewhere that's outside of her range in the middle. That's not really feasible, but when she's at launch, you can find places in the core area underneath on some of the crates that are just outside that 400-meter range where you can actually shoot her and she won't be able to shoot you back. The longer you stay in one spot, the quicker she will hit you, but if you keep moving, she won't hit you quite as much. So that's everything for today, the ultimate guide to everything you need to know about Space City. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Drop any comments if you've got any feedback down below, and don't forget to check out some of my other tips, tricks, and guides over on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Ben, we are the Beard Guys, and I'll see you next time.